Linda D. Prysock.
Spell first and last name.
Linda, L-I-D-N-A, excuse me, L-I-N-D-A, Prysock, P-R-Y-S-O-C-K.
Ms. Prysock, if you would please tell us where you're from.
I was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, Franklin County.
And up until Christmas Day of 2022, where did you live?
At 529 Sawyer Boulevard, apartment 1106.
Do most folks call that Sawyer Towers?
As of lately, we call it Latitude 525.
Okay. How long have you lived there?
Since April of 2011.
And Ms. Prysock, what do you do for a living?
I'm retired state employee.
About how long have you been retired?
This year is 25 years.
You like living at Latitude 525?
Yes. Yes, I do.
You like your room with your view?
Yes, I miss it.
And you know, if you would please tell us what happened, when did you wake up to Christmas Day 2020?
Christmas Day,
I don't want to interrupt. I'd like to just put a standing objection in the record that this is, I believe, not relevant to the proceedings, and that I don't want to interrupt the tenant while she speaks. And may I put one standing objection on the record, and then that way I have to interrupt. Is that okay?
Very good. Your objection is done.
I assume it is overruled, Your Honor?
Yes, it is overruled. My apologies. This witness may continue with her testimony.
What happened on Christmas Day?
early Christmas Day, the fire alarm kept going off. It started on Christmas Eve. The fire alarm kept going off, seems like every 30, 45 minutes, saying, emergency, emergency, use the stairs, don't use the elevator. There's been an emergency in the building. These are still going off. And I would go out on my balcony, because I had an apartment with a view, and I would go out on the balcony to see if the fire department would come from Station 8. And I would look at the clock and see what time, how long it took the fire response to get there. Because of my knees, it's hard for me to go down those stairs from the 11th floor. Go down and then come back up, and go down and come back up. So I just stopped doing that. Then the alarm kept going off, but then the light started to dim, and then I went into the bathroom to use the toilet, and I went to flush the toilet, and the water barely emptied the bowl. And I said, because this is not anything new, I said, here we go again, no toilet. Light started dimming. I said, oh my God. So I called Grandma in with legal aid, and I said, something's going on here. The toilet's not working. And then I said, also, and I found out the water in the kitchen wasn't coming out of the faucet. And so I called him and let him know that these things was going on, because I had been in contact with him before about my living conditions. So then he told me that there was an emergency in the building, and that there was a water pipe breaker or something. And he's like, are you cold? And I said, well, I'm comfortable right now because I'm wearing sweats. Because it was like 30 degrees below zero wind chill factor on Christmas Day. It was so cold. But being on the 11th floor, I wasn't that cold yet. And then Grandma Man told me that to get some comfortable clothes, so we may have to evacuate. And I said, what? And he says, well, they're going to be sending coded buses there to evacuate you, so we'll pack something warm, because you may have to leave for a while. And I was thinking about my cats, my pets, my house plants, leaving them all behind. So I went and grabbed some pots, and a little bit of water came out of the sink, and I was able to put extra water down for my cats. And then I put some extra food down for my cats, because I didn't know when I was coming back. I just assumed it'd be a couple hours. Then I threw things in my backpack, put on my coat, and went downstairs. No, I looked up my balcony and I saw 2 CODA buses in the east parking lot. And I was like, oh my God, he told the truth. They are coming to evacuate us. And also, Graham Bowman said that code enforcement will be knocking on doors to tell people to get out because it's not safe. I didn't know why it wasn't safe. So then I went downstairs. There was no one in the lobby, but the lobby was full of water and ice, and the ceiling tiles had fallen onto the floor in front of my mailbox where you go and pick up your mail, and on out to the exit doors. And I looked out the door and there was a sheet of ice out there, but there was no people around. And I was like, well, where's everybody at? So I was like, am I going to be the only one to get on these buses? So I went back upstairs because we normally have 2 elevators, but only one was running. That's not unusual. So I took the 1 elevator up back to the 11th floor and looked out again at the buses, and I was like, should I go back down? I called Graham Bowman and I said, the buses aren't there, and he said, leave now, because they're going to be knocking on the doors. Just leave. I said, because there's nobody in the lobby. He said, just leave. So I took the elevator back down to the lobby. As I was going out of the front door, my son was coming to bring me a surprise Christmas gift and Christmas dinner that his wife had fixed for me. And he said, Mommy, where you going? And I said, I got to go get on one of those CODA buses because we're being evacuated. He said, Mom, evacuated to where? I said, I don't know. A warming place somewhere. And he said, well, Mommy, I got your dinner and your gift here. I said, well, just take it on upstairs. So my son navigated across the ice and he went up the working elevator while I made my way to the CODA bus. So I was afraid I was going to hurt myself, but I made it. And then my son, when I went and got on the bus and I was sitting there, now I saw my son come back down and he got in the car and they left. And then while I was sitting on the bus, I saw all these city cars pulling up into the east parking lot, code enforcement, city of Columbus cars. And I was like, oh my God, this is really real. And so then I sat on the bus just talking to the bus driver. There was nobody else on the bus but me, and there was another bus with the driver, but it was empty. And we were sitting and talking, and then I was like, what are we going to do? And she's like, I don't know. I got to use the restroom. I was like, where are you going to go? She was like, I don't know. Then eventually the word came to the driver to pull the bus around to in front of our buildings, both buses. They said because the code enforcement was going to force people to come out of their apartments because people didn't want to leave their things, their animals, their belongings, their home. They just didn't want to go. They didn't know where they were going to go. Didn't know when they were going to come back. And so the 2 buses pulled around the front, and then people started filing out of the towers and across the ice, whatever. And then I talked to a lady who introduced herself to me as Heather. And I said, my animals are up there still. I don't want to leave my pets. Where are we going? How long are we going to be gone? And she says, I'll help you. I'll help you. And she says, I said, but I also left my papers, like my passport and things up there. And I need to get back upstairs and grab my important bills, like my tax records and stuff, because it's going to be tax time. And she's like, I'll help you. Just wait right here. So I waited on the bus, and then people started getting on that bus. I was on the second bus, because we had pulled up behind this other bus. So I was on the second bus, and then people were starting to get on, and then she said, she came back on the bus, she kept talking to me, and she's talking to the police officers who were inside of the lobby of our, in between our two buildings at that time. And the police officers said for me to wait, because they didn't want to just let anybody go up there to do things. They wanted to keep track of who was going upstairs and where they were going. So finally Heather came to me and said, okay, talk to that officer over there, and he's going to tell you what to do. So I went back in to the 525 building, which is where the office is, in between the two towers. And I went to the officer, and he asked me my name and asked for my ID. And he said, what are you going to do? I said, I need to go to the 11th floor and grab some more things to take with me, because I don't know when I'm coming back. And he said, okay, someone's going to go up with you. So I waited, and then someone, I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was a code enforcement or a police, or the fire department. It might have been a fire department person who used the key and to operate the elevators, because I think they weren't operating at that time. I can't remember, because it's so sporadic. But the fire department was taking people up to certain floors, and then they finally got to my floor 11, and they said, grab what you got to grab, and then come back out. And then when I went to my apartment, they had taken someone to their apartment, I think on my floor too, I can't remember. And then I have a certain place where I keep my important papers, like my birth certificate, my social security card, and my passport. And I grabbed that box and threw it in my backpack. And then, let's see what else. Oh, and then I grabbed my old lady card, I call it. It's one of those cards you see that has 4 wheels. You see old lady card that you take to the grocery store. It's your own personal shopping cart. And I unfolded that.
I'm so sorry. Why in the world do you have an old lady card?
Because I'm an old lady.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I can't carry groceries like I used to. I'm 71 years old. And the cart, it makes it so that I can carry a lot of stuff and like, down the sidewalks or whatever. But sometimes I would go shopping, but there wouldn't be elevator service, so I would have to get up the stairs with that. But normally I pray that there's elevator service when I get back from the store. So anyway, I grabbed my cards, because I usually have it folded up and against the wall. And I unfolded that and threw a couple of hoodies and my box. I didn't put that in my backpack. I put that in the old lady cart. And I can't remember what else I threw in there. And then, there's some couple pairs of pants, some socks. And then I took my cart back out to the hallway, and the code enforcement, the fire department people was out there. They said, you ready, Miss? And they said, you ready, Miss? I said, yes. And they took me back down the elevator, and then back to the lobby, and then they crossed my name off, or whatever they did to make sure that I'm leaving the building. And then I went out to get on the bus, and they told me to get on a different bus, which was full, because they had already brought people down and put them into the bus. And they put me on a different bus than I was on, the first bus, I think. And I think they were waiting on me, because once I got on, then the door shut and they were ready to go. And then they took us to the Dodge Recreation Center, where the Red Cross was waiting on us with open arms and smiles. And we started filing off of the bus. And kept saying, well, my cats are still back there. What about my pets? How long are we going to be here? What are we going to do? And they said, just come on, honey, come on. And we just all filed in to Dodge and into their main multi-purpose room. And there was like a few cots in there and a couple tables sitting. And then we just started filing in and looking around, because I'm familiar with Dodge because I used to take belly dance classes there in Spanish. So I'm familiar with Dodge. So, and the Red Cross was there, and they was getting ready to set up, because by this time it was afternoon and stuff, and they was like, we're going to eat or anything, because I'd been sitting on the bus all that time there, they hadn't eaten. So they were saying, we're going to feed you. Just, it's going to be okay. They kept telling us it's going to be okay. And hugging us and telling us it's going to be okay. And then I just looked around and I saw cots that were already unfolded. I just grabbed me one and put it in front of the stage, because I'm familiar with the stage, because I used to belly dance on it in class. So I put the cot up against the stage and said, this is my spot. And then other people started coming in and looking around, and there were guys who was unfolding cots for people. Other residents were doing that. And then Red Cross started coming around and putting 2 sets of blankets, Red Cross blankets, on each cot that was unfolded. And then they just started coming around and asking how we were doing and just talking to us and being kind. They said, there's coffee over there, there's donuts, we're going to be bringing you food. And this is on Christmas Day. And what a way to spend Christmas. So then people started showing up to ask us questions about what we needed. And they were there to, they was like, I was so confused that I never had help before all my life. I've always, worked, never needed or used public assistance for anything. And I didn't know who to talk to about what. So a lot of people that was there with me, they were in the system. They're used to Section 8 and food stamps and Social Security payments and stuff like that. So I didn't know anything. And but I just started hearing people asking other people questions about what they need, what their needs were, or what did they leave behind, and stuff like that. So that's pretty much how it started on Christmas Day. So.
And Ms. Price, when you say cots in the multi-purpose room, did you have your own private areas, or was that all wide open cot spread?
It's wide open. It's like a gymnasium. It's really a room where Dodge serves meals every day for a discounted price. And they also have a stage there, and people play pickleball in there, or they do clod dancing, clogging. They do classes like that, line dancing. They do all kinds of stuff in this room, and plus feed people. And the cots were on the floor. Now there were some people who took the cots and put it up on the stage. There were some people who just have to be up like that. I would have, but I didn't. So the stage, some people put cots, unfolded cots up on the stage. Others, like me, had it down on the floor. And then got blankets.
About how long were you at Dodge?
From Christmas Day until either, I think, December the 29th, that Thursday, the 29th, I think. Because Friday, the 30th, is when our towers were being sealed, where we weren't allowed to walk in there anymore, we were told. So that's why I'm getting confused. I had to check because I journaled the whole time. And I have to look to see if it was the 29th on Thursday was our last, because I know we didn't stay Friday night because we were at the motel back then. So I'm trying to think, I don't know if we spent the night at the motel on Thursday night or Friday night. I'm not sure. But
Where's the motel?
motel is at 909 South State Street in Westerville.
And is that close to where you live in
No.
Latitude?
No, it's northeast, it's like northeast of like airport, outside of 270, beside 270.
And have you been there ever since?
Yes.
What has that been like for you living in a hotel out in the suburbs?
It's a no-tell motel.
What's that mean?
It's just a saying. Stuff happens in motels with no one tells. This motel, I'm very thankful, don't get me wrong, this motel, it doesn't have housekeeping. You clean your own room. I guess we're supposed to do our own linens, like bed sheets and stuff. They have a laundry room, but that's for employees only. Now, I don't know if they're sharing it with the residents or not. I'm not one of them, but we have to clean our own rooms and everything. And then there's a lady, I think it's family owned, but there's a lady who comes around once a week with her clipboard and says, "Is everything okay?" She used to come in the room and go in the bathroom and go and look in the bedroom. And then just say, "Do you need anything?" But it doesn't matter because she doesn't bring it back anyway.
Ms. Price, do you have a car?
No, I haven't had a car since 2015 when I was in a car crash.
How do you get around from that hotel?
Being as we're not on the Dakota bus line, I have to call Lyft to take me to a bus stop, either at 161 and Cleveland Avenue or Easton, and then catch a bus into town. So when I call Lyft, it's $15 including tip one way. So normally when I leave to go to anywhere or to the doctor or go back to my old neighborhood to the post office to get my mail that's on hold, or go get my hair braided, or go to my doctor, it's like $30 round trip just to get to the bus stop. So that all goes on my credit card.
Are there places that you're not able to get to or you're not going to because you are so far away?
Well, I can't get to a grocery store. I mean, there's people who are younger than me who can walk to Kroger's down the road. There's a Bob Evans across the street, but that all costs money. This is money that we're spending that we weren't counting on. You know, people have spent the money on Christmas, on food for Christmas, whatever people spend their money on for Christmas. That stuff is still in our apartment. So whatever we do, we have to do over again. Clean underwear. Now people have come by and brought donated clothing and stuff, and we were getting Meals on Wheels from time to time, and people bring food that they prepare for us from time to time. But if you want anything else, you know, you have to pay for it. But transportation, it's not there because they gave us on January the 10th, because I called code enforcement and they had like 2-hour windows where you could schedule to go and go to your apartment, get escorted up, go to your apartment, grab what you can in 2 hours that will fit on the Coda bus, because that was our transportation from a hotel. Let me see. No, my sister took me on January 10th. Excuse me. My sister on January 10th. My sister, who lives near Easton. She came and took me to 529 Sawyer, and I went up and got my things, and she told me to grab a suitcase. My suitcase I have on wheels. She said, grab your suitcase, throw what you get in here. And that's when I threw some of my books, a book that my father left me when he died in World War II. I grabbed my 2 special Bibles. I grabbed my family photos of my grandmother and my great-grandmother, my father and my son, my precious photos. I threw those in the suitcase. My HR block tax records from the past, like 10 years or something. Threw those in there. And then I have like paper backup of all of my credit cards and my insurance, all that. Threw that in the suitcase. And I threw some spices from the kitchen and like hot sauce. You know, gotta have hot sauce wherever you go. And garlic powder and all that stuff, coffee, sugar. I threw all that in the suitcase. And then I grabbed my bonsai tree and threw that in my backpack because I had to leave all my beautiful house plants behind. I have a house plant there that my mother gave me back in 1991 that she had for like 10 years. So it's like over 40 years old. That's still there. And I have a big giant plant there that was beside my mother's coffin at her funeral. It was little, and now it's giant. It's still there. So I couldn't bring everything with me. My record albums, my photo albums, my old love letters, my pictures. I couldn't bring all that. So I could just bring whatever I could fit into my suitcase. And then I brought that down with me. They escorted me back down. The code enforcement people this time escorted me up to there. And the other thing I found out too when I went up there to my apartment is that my doorknob and our deadbolt was missing on all the doors. You could see into our apartments, my apartment, through, you just push it open like that. Anybody could just go in my apartment. So I don't know, I was really distraught behind that because I don't know who went through my things while I was gone. Because I have like turquoise jewelry, so I've got big jars of like change, coins. I've got all kinds of things in there that's mine. And when I went there on the 10th, my apartment was unsecure.
Mr. Pricelock, do you know what happened to your cats?
On December the 30th, Graham Bowman, he called me and said that Columbus Humane in Hilliard has offered to take my cats. Because I had called them before and asked them if they could take my cats. And they said they didn't have any room. Graham Bowman called me back and he said, Columbus Humane is going to take your cats for you and keep them safe. And that was just before they boarded up our buildings. I think that was like Friday the 30th, I think. And there were, I saw on the news where they had all these Columbus Humane Society vans in front of the towers and getting people's pets, because I wasn't the only one who had cats. And they got I had 5 cats at the time, because 2 was part of my apartment. And they got my cats out and took them to Hilliard, where they are to this day. I have not seen my pets since December the 29th, I think, because I didn't see them on the day they were taken. So that must have been the last time I was there. Yes. So then, once Columbus Humane saved my cats, they examined my cats, and they said that 2 of my cats have to be put to sleep because they had some kind of chronic diseases that would be real expensive for me to take care of. So they killed my 2 oldest cats. My companions that I've had for one of them since 2015 and the other one since 2011 when I moved in. And they're dead now. My other 3, 2 of them, one is the father and 2 are his 2 kittens. They're 3 years old. They spayed my 2 kittens for me and gave them vaccinations at no cost. And they're holding my animals for me until Saturday, the 18th. So that gave me some peace of mind. But I'm still upset because I've been alone this whole time. I've never been alone before in my life. I've always either had family around me or my son or pets. So I've just been in this motel room by myself. Sad about this whole situation. I'm just heartbroken because I'm like, it's like I'm not in control. People think like we're like on vacation. It's not like that. Our life is still back there. And we don't know when we'll be able to touch our photos or our favorite our albums or photo albums or record albums, my plants, my old love letters, Christmas cards from my deceased father that he used to write poems in to me. All that stuff is still there. Yeah, I have a roof over my head. I have a bed. We have heat. Our toilet works in the motel. And I don't have to worry about a broken elevator. But that was my home. And I don't even get to see the sun come up. I don't get to see the moon come up. I don't get to see the stars come up. Because this motel, I'm on the first floor, and cars are parked right in front of my it's a motel. And I have to keep my curtains pulled for privacy. Over there, I was like on the 11th floor. I can keep my blinds open all the time, and my trees just grew. Everything grew, beautiful. And I faced the east. I faced the airport, and I see the jets taking off and landing all day, all night, especially at night. See the helicopters going, landing on top of the hospital. See the changing of the seasons, the birds, and everything. I don't get to see none of that no more. I'm just in this dark room, with the curtains pulled. And I've been there almost 2 months now.
Mr. Price, thank you so much. Your Honor, I have no more questions.
You're welcome.
Mr. Kahane, do you have cross-examination?
No, Mr. Price, thank you for sharing